Good luck.
Mr. Wolf. Really yelped our career. This is since Andrew Wolf is leading team, they can actually feel out like he's like that's something like I'm Andrew Wolf.
I left my bag in the mouse because I got you.
We did that in semis and football. I forgot to in finals on camera. We got our do it. No, do it. It's fun. I respect it. We got our words out. We got our words out.
I might forget though.
It shows how much you care.
No, it's fine.
It's 6:27, so we can start.
Okay. Send the email now.
Oh, it's not here.
Okay. 2 sheets of paper.
It's downloading right now.
Anybody not ready? Contention with strategic stability, impending efforts to build an integrated Asian missile shield pose a credible threat to Chinese second strike. That's Cameron 19. Beijing expanded defensive stepping up U.S. first target option, large-scale defensive system, first target nearby, intercepting retaliatory missiles. This could prompt arms ready to end, include incentive for Beijing to attack U.S. first. Nuclear during FDR advocating large-scale missile defense. China see ambiguity between capabilities as a threat. One country called preemptive within the look offensive to the line is a matter of perception and. Chinese modernization efforts are driven by desires to maintain credible second strike. Nuclear arms race is increasingly probable. That's Logan 17. Trends ongoing modernization and changing the character of nuclear forces changes driven by the desire to maintain the country's second strike capability. China identified and advancing capabilities and missile defense and to accept the nuclear forces. China possesses the underlying economic, industrial, and technological basis to attempt to spread the parity. Chinese nuclear policy driven by perceived threats from the U.S. expanding BMD could exacerbate Chinese threat perception and trigger nuclear breakout. And they have the intent and capability to attempt a sprint to parity. Action reaction spirals escalate. That's Princeton 19. China could be on additional alter deploy MERV, developing the F-41 ICV, expanding the SNDN, fleet and reassigned nuclear mission to its bombers, developing an air launcher ballistic missile. Leadership has decided to turn to require more weapons expansion would make even Russia reluctant to reduce arsenals. And rapid modernization goes nuclear. 1. Modernization ratchets up the risk of catastrophic accidents. That's Santorum 19. China following capabilities present issued another changing concerns, limited nuclear or fighting posture new dual capable missiles, including dispersal and present a number of deployable weapons will be seen as very complicated C3 system emerging worlds of major layers complexity, concern that human error malfunction could lead to inadvertent escalation. And 2. It spurs Chinese shift launch on warning, ensuring any crisis escalates due to miscalculation. That's Kulaki 16. Just because putting missiles at high alert concerns about credible retaliatory capability that faces the missile defense. High alert would be assured for retaliatory action are the most prominent factor of study. Showed that both the risk of war and escalation would increase. False alarms, human tag error, and are likely early in development would increase. Particularly nuclear change, especially during crisis could mistakenly launch. CNC would malfunction. Chinese concerned future defense system could intercept survivable missile forces and influencing deliberation. And 3. Inexperience is particularly concerning. The Chinese aren't prepared for an aggressive force posture. That's 29. Missile defense systems emphasis on countermeasures and build up the rate of working with threat perception. Will stress nonsense system. China have very few controls in place today. And 4. Sprawling nuclear enterprises are subject to a laundry list of trigger events magnified during conventional crises. That's page 15. Could demonstrate multiple pathways of nuclear war, accident, dysfunctional, organizational dynamics, degraded decision-making, component failure, accidental detonation, warhead loss of control, and nothing actor acquisition and use, trigger events increase, strategic instability by increasing the propensity to escalate nuclear attack. Thus, growing nuclear weapons enterprises are always suppose the possibility that events would occur concurrently with a variety of conditions and extinction. Only large arsenals are sufficient. That's Colin and Barrett et al. 17. All of nuclear war could then plug into the atmosphere and exchange of 4,000 weapons could lead to a drop in global temperature and make it impossible to grow food to thrive. Extinction would be great. War involved 100 weapons would put 2 billion at risk, conflict around the order of a magnitude larger made to threaten civilization. And U.S.-China crises are inevitable. Likelihood of escalation is determined by the number and nature of nuclear forces. That's Higginbotham 18. The other facing challenges face the hydroman, fire transition to society, strap, the territory dispute, Taiwan, the Chinese country, the spreading out in the Philippines, and the Korean Peninsula, spark crisis. None of these have obvious nuclear components that could encourage escalation and consideration of nuclear options. And MAD checks intentional escalation. That's Higginbotham 17. If they use a weapon, it will probably be by acting the real world. The accidental trigger only takes one. Coming to trigger an avalanche, tracking number of close calls newly provoked nuclear response. The fact that we didn't prove it, we got very lucky. And no, all calls BMD is the linchpin of perception of compromised second strike. Offense alone isn't enough. That's 10 to 17. Missile defense primary purpose is support offensive nuclear strike, nuclear strategies before missile defense is you would to attempt a first strike. It would be harsher to account for and destroy every single system, but defend or relieve the suppressor. And China's purely defensive nuclear power empirical record overwhelmingly goes affirmative. That's 10 18. A conditional out of view means China nuclear weapons play one role to deter, reflect a purely defensive nature of the nuclear policy. Defense analysts describe China nuclear doctrine as minimum deterrence. China had no need to engage in the arms race, never had been bothered by over anxiety and its nuclear thinking. China had to conduct the least number of tests, maintain the minimum number of warheads, and China had no need to evaluate non-strategic weapons such as ITW, TNW. China does not intend to pulling nukes as foreign policy tool to advance its national interests. That's the plan. The United States federal government should substantially reduce foreign military sales of arms from the United States that undermine Chinese second strike, contingent to solvency. The plan solves first is integration, unlocks power aggression, and operationalizes shoot. That's man 18. Integration on missile defense cannot be over the ability to seamlessly process data while reducing the vulnerability of technology and more assets and system of maximizing capabilities will expand asset footprint and shot opportunity integrating weapons fully enables shoot asset shoot integration expand capabilities by reducing intercept required as forward most retailers play an important role upgrading capabilities while investing in future tech. The Japan plans to build 2 ages by the early 2020s and FMS is key. Upcoming ages of short systems are prerequisite to further regional integration. That's Karako 18. Middle defense capability hinges upon the acquisition of aegis ashore in Japan. Aegis theatrical former base will have to adapt and try these developments have brought application for the US and allies. And only an integrated regional system triggers Chinese encirclement fears. Domestic deployments are irrelevant. That's Karako PD 15. If anything to develop missile defense capable of neutralizing capacity for retaliation incentive for the international strike will increase missile defense has considered trouble with the missile defense might become the great challenge of discriminating between warhead and decoded Chinese arsenals provided first strike uncertainty. And I believe that U.S. missile defense can neutralize facing deterrent the result of the arms race. And second is negotiations on unilateral concession on BMD sales paves the way for bilateral agreement. That's Salesman 9. This is how to engage in other countries in missile defense are seen as part of the attempt to secure absolute nuclear advantage. While China generally advocate multilateral form of negotiation, analysts are uniformly advocating bilateral concession on the part of the U.S. It's hard that process the U.S. is trying to demonstrate a physical commitment until these considered address China. Analysts are loath to even mention China's role in the process. And Trump's looking for a win on arms control. That's PTI 19. U.S. is not with Russia and China on major arms control. Trump will reportedly looking for a major agreement with China and no offense. Restraint is the best option. Status quo capabilities check regional threats and modernization outpaces defense as pickup 13. Shooting after bully block 2 is on the good hard regional defense capability. Block 1 would allow U.S. to maintain the ability to defend from Japan and defend against the Ukraine threat with 1A and 1B. The U.S. has 2 options. One, to deny Chinese second strike, or 2, accept mutual vulnerability and stabilize the relationship, trying to eliminate second strike could not be possible that lead nuclear arms races. And future boost phases will effectively deter regional threats like North Korea. That's done 19. And then missile defense to deter rogue states, destabilize relations among major powers, but new technology may offer new way out with the advances in boost technology communications. Boost phases within regional Lockheed is planned to deliver by 2020. Boost phase 1 would be close to its target to intercept missile, but that goes from within China and unlike current forward deployed systems can verifiably limited ranges. And mutual vulnerability is inevitable. Failing to adjust accordingly will crush alliances. That's White 18. Don't give out of vulnerability, undermine credibility, commitment to allies can only be credible. The allies will leave America willing to fight a war. Commitment can only be credible with arguments like the U.S. will uphold despite these critiques cannot be for the window Washington repeatedly acknowledge that undermines the alliances. And Trump eviscerates East Asian commitments. That's Woodward in Part 1-3. Triple blaming decades of policies towards the treaty, but allies relationship teams ready to crumble. Recession marked by negligence regarding commitment to leadership, the legalism of climate, accelerated by Trump's transactional attitude towards collective security, such as Paris, TPP, and Korea free trade agreement. Trump, for instance, bringing Tokyo with Seoul and threat to the authorities to Paris treaty with withdrawal, aggressive demand for larger defense budgets, and missile deployment, and South Korea protected themselves, saying off nuclear arms race, Tokyo support boost faking military expenditures and developing their own defense industry.
Good. Starting on the advantage, just overarching question: what weapons do you get rid of specifically?
Block 2A and Block 2B.
The interceptor missiles.
Yeah.
Is that it?
And related weapon systems.
Okay. What are those related weapon systems?
Anything that has to do with the servicing of technology that we can topically reduce.
Okay. Sure. The modernization stuff. How big does a nuclear arsenal have to get, and how modernized does it have to get for your turn-link scenario?
So we're arguing that there is a possibility that accidents will happen now. However, it's going to get higher and higher and higher and higher the more we let China modernize. So we need to.
Didn't answer the question. How big and how modernized? What is the brink for internal links to happen?
There is no brink. The impact can happen at any second, which is why we need to solve for it now.
So who uses nukes? Which card says
We
that
don't-
either country
We
will?
don't make a claim that one side uses nukes. We argue that in a scenario where there are two
Yeah, so I
largely
guess, like-
dominated powers, one will inadvertently cause a second, like a strike.
So you don't
on
have
the
a
other.
card that says that either country would use nukes.
No, we say that accidents will happen and miscalculation. This is like the rapid modernization goes nuclear.
Yeah.
4 cards that each say
Sure.
that.
So let's say China gets 100 more nuclear weapons. Does that substantially increase the risk of miscalculation?
Yeah, for sure. It's
Okay,
also not just about,
so-
it's not just about the weapons they give.
Yeah, it's about AI too. I get that. I'm saying so the Russian arsenal is about that. So every second that we're alive right now in this round, we might die of a nuclear miscalculation.
Yeah, we could, and we'd argue that the plan is the best way to ensure.
Okay,
that those
how do you
risks
resolve other arsenals than just China?
What do you mean?
If your evidence is true, which is not contextual to China, your evidence just says in general. How do you solve for every other nuclear?
Wait, how is our evidence not contextual to China?
The card talks about Cold War crisis. I'll pull it up.
Which one?
It's the one that talks about the Cold War and the
It's
specific
15.
triggers for modernization. The
Yeah.
Santoro 19.
I mean, you're just characterizing our scenario, because we also have the 12-9 cards. So it's really
Wait, I get that you're characterizing it. I'm saying the
And-
author of that card wrote a piece of evidence that said that nuclear modernization leads to miscalculation that could cause conflict.
Yes, because
That card is not specific to China.
No,
How do you
because-
resolve for any nuclear arsenal that is not China?
Because it's specific to the strategic instability that will result if we don't do the plan.
Where does the card indicate anything specific?
Trigger events increase strategic instability by decreasing the propensity to escalate to nuclear attack.
Okay, where is that specific to China? Or the
It's
places?
specific-
Before that, too.
Okay, first of all, the other 3, and second, yeah, it's specific to the overall geopolitical scenario that Chinese modernization will place the United States versus them in.
Okay, that's fine. The revisionism argument, you say China's purely defensive nuclear power. What are the warrants for defensive realists?
We're not arguing that they're defensive realist. We're saying a defensive nuclear power.
Okay, what are the warrants for defensive nuclear power?
Like first, their unconditional non-first-use policy, their tactical nuclear weapons and policy, and their actual people within the Chinese government that have said they do not
Okay.
want to go to war.
That's fine. What is the significance of the MDR?
It's scared of China.
Well, why? You read a card
yeah,
about
so
the
for
MDR, what about
decades,
this?
Trump was or we had missile defense in Japan, and the Obama administration was like, these aren't aimed at you, China. And then the latest MDR that came out, Trump was like, these have always been aimed at you, and you should not be scared. So China is rationally modernizing in response to that.
Oh, okay, awesome.
6 minutes starting now. 352. I'll email it. I'm emailing it. It said it wasn't closed. Wait. Okay, it's in there. The order is going to be 9 off and then the strategic stability band.
Yeah, that's a word.
Where it goes, like, this is gonna fall. Yeah. I'll go something else.
So just to recap our order again.
9 off and then case we run the rest.
All right.
Anyone not good? First off, new apps are bad, they kill Clash and give the affirmative team a strategic advantage. This justifies conditionality. Or new undisclosed apps are bad, they kill Clash and give the affirmative team a strategic advantage. This justifies conditionality because we couldn't prepare to sufficiently debate them. They didn't disclose either, so don't give them any leniency. T. Next off is T. Substantial interpretation. Substantial reduction is at least 8% to Harry 16. C. Probability essential decrease from the 79 million arms over to 33 billion, decrease slightly to 36 billion. Voting issue for lands and ground. U.S. sells arms in 98 countries and their interpretation modelize every weapon system or military service by 98. Our interpretation forces the affirmative to focus on the largest customers or read after govern arms sales more broadly. It's otherwise impossible to be negative. Next off is T reduce. Interpretation reduction arms is the same for restriction or management unless a cool quantity of qualitative ceiling is 88. Restricting goes through with the type of weapon restriction includes a quantity of quantity of water ceiling in violation. The plan restricts arms to a specific country. This is distinct from a reduction and vote negative for predictable limits and ground. They explode the topic making negative preparation of possible by allowing hundreds of tiny affirmatives. Next off is the ICJ counterplan. The United States federal government ought to request an advisory opinion with binding force over national arms sales policy by the International Court of Justice and that it be accelerated over particularly the issue of whether or not to reduce the seal of ages to short related systems to Japan should be included for adjudication. The United States federal government should not enact said policy unless the International Court of Justice requires and ICJ rules against U.S. arms sales. Poland 5. When the ICJ establishes in the violation of the application of the rules of the relevant arms liable because of the hand laws and international office always recognition that religion by the violating sacred for what was the breach of the second obligation and ruling against current U.S. policy boosts ICJ credibility. Murphy 9. The court no deported different news investigation of further judicial review of was highly constrained to expand power having served the U.S. and equal office the court can make sure that involving law judges reflect views of the state with whom the U.S. disagrees. The court may welcome opportunities to speak in the legality of U.S. actions and that solves global stability. David War 16. International institutions agrees in interstate water issues are communicating over the trade mediation. ICJ is the focus in all peaceful and indigenous governments. Turn the ICJ for dispute of this resolution on territorial claims. What was how environmental damage ICJ is significant. Many performing a component of the international system to protect trade flows. Mark F flows. Next up is the court's counterplan. Counterplan text the Supreme Court of the United States ought to rule that direct commercial and foreign military sales of arms to Japan are unconstitutional and that solves and reasserts congressional role and war powers. The perm remove standing. So 610. The war powers resolution provides for using powers, human energy, and engaging in auto warning, and the West Regular cannot be in a traditional legislative man. He's the one who's presenting to the West recommended that war powers act over the authority from Congress and self and that he can get any order than most helpful from Congress if you form against it unless you redress the imbalance to resist our base and all register the injury awarding a hold on authorities use military assistance and precedent of unreviewable executive goes global makes preventive conflict inevitable. That's slow 8. What U.S. presidents do is how much presidents that strong influence other states, many states taking into account which asserted that their right to preventative wars. These include North Korea, Iran, China, Israel, Russia, and Taiwan. The states include the use of catastrophic weapons in preventative war. The executive powers culminate in diplomatic obstacles. Next off is the advanced counterpoint. The United States federal government should release a 2020 missile defense review explicitly stating that the People's Republic of China is no longer considered a threat, that missile defense is needed to contain that the MDR should only reference rogue states such as North Korea and state that missile defense is only for defensive purposes. The MDR should reference an end to the SN-3 Block 2A interceptor against an ICBM class targets and an end to the development of a next generation multi-object kill vehicle for the ground-based interception of ICBM warheads, decoys, and countermeasures. And the United States federal government should adopt a no first-use policy for its nuclear weapons offer to establish U.S.-China nuclear dialogue and pursue an extension of the New START Treaty. And missile defense review is what is causing Chinese freakout, regardless of capabilities. That's cross-sex checks. That's Mitra 19. In 2019, the MBR released by the duties of the Defense versus destroying the Deputy MBR season to develop the S3 Block 2A and African size new martial arts when you open the generation of money like a vehicle with a release interception ICBM warheads that feed was the countermeasure with these capabilities materials and other relative capable counter response for overseas these developed concern like video and despite competition in China the impact of the strategic competition spawned by the MBRs and the travel down for the Asia China could be forced to deviate from minimalism. The MBR can significantly attack Sweden upset the strategic calculus in South Asia, and that solves the accident scenario that they've read because it provides the U.S. concessions necessary to get China to agree and back down. China wants the counter plan, not the app. That's their own author, Santoro 19. Their card ends here. Beijing sought reassurance from Washington, encouraging the U.S. to adopt an NFU and to accept mutual vulnerability, create the conditions for nuclear dialogue to begin. Washington should encourage Beijing to launch such dialogue. How Washington understands China's decision. They should help Washington and Beijing develop a framework to allow for a more stable, predictable, strategic nuclear relationship. Washington dialogue will be possible with concession debate. Washington will need to acknowledge what they will long have been as the case of the United States and China, mutually vulnerable relationship, our current relationship. The next off is the Japan deal. BMD cooperation is the driver of U.S. Japan coordination and faith and extended deterrence. The Africa's Japanese nuclear unconventional pearl of Camp 19. And once the U.S. Japan efforts on BMD's most robust access to federal security cooperation, defense versus interceptors, things that highly long capabilities. Japan operates early warning radars as an agent sources in the U.S. wanted to deploy the back here in 7 agents vessels. The United States has to expand radars. The partnership is a key driver of alliance coordination with nations feed information and improves the effectiveness of target identification, tracking combined with the joint nexus with the joint development of the SN3 Block 2A, which can accept the water going to start about the modernizations for attention the extended deterrence rate welcome the 2018 NPR, or NPR, and that goes nuclear 1015. East Asian numbers is the mixed perception conflicts are one open conflicts between North Korea and South Korea as long as the effort honors in East Asia dangerous so anything increase with miscalculation or sort of misperception conflicts in the conflict will not say regional the USA will be drawn and it's likely that it will roughly escape the nuclear weakest three of the key players for this nuclear weapons. Next off is the missiles disadvantage. Aegis ashore is necessary for Japan to serve as a base for Tomahawk missiles. Johnson 19. Those military connector fully tested missile part of the Aegis system being used on the land-based Aegis ashore missile was a version of the first nuclear capable Tomahawk cruise missile Pentagon to begin testing IRBM. The Pentagon can deploy IRBM to Aegis simulation one of the Aegis BMD system MK41 by design capable of fire tolerant refrigeration that some experts have said would be relatively painless, and forward missile deployments are necessary to balance Chinese missiles that prevents miscalculation. Johnson 18. Missiles are ranging and his flexibility out of duty and limited radars and ensure limited ability to defend, especially in preemptive strikes. The U.S. for losing in the Aegis all competition and civilian and warhead McGee increases these abilities down against nuclear retaliation consistent with Chinese doctrine and McGee is related to the targets that virus interpreting Navy that is people against his own nuclear returning and surgical over the short for really structured Beijing predisposed to seizing into combat with the tendency of Chinese strategies to overestimate the efficiency of the signals rolling execute or misinterpret overconfidence fireworks or underestimate the lack of working cause accident war and the SCM to the debates on the line of treaty to promote the Russian violation with an inability to respond to Chinese deployments for active deployments, and that goes nuclear. Levine 18. Russian missiles in Japan, Guam, the Philippines, Australia would act as an argument on defense returning Chinese aggression without the need to move big assets within range during a crisis. The loss for America would pressure immediately and dramatically the escalation with resources and necessity to strike Chinese systems in China would be reduced significantly because nuclear are intermingled and conventional force and really destroying the nuclear return, increasing the chances of a conflict going nuclear. Strategic stability advantage. Their evidence is not reverse causal. It's a reference to the missile defense systems that already exist that proves that one, they don't solve, and two, there's no impact because China has been referencing this issue for 20 years. Co 14. Those are the what we're highlighted is early 20,000 defense weapon the aforementioned BMDR outside of South Korea's power to increase community cooperation, seal deployed a second Aegis drone to join much of the fact of capability and creating a two-tier region United States because of this cooperation being incorporated in a region-wide system. The efforts were laying the foundation for region-wide BMD that will incorporate Japan, South Korea, Australia, and Taiwan, and the U.S. has other BMD in Japan and DA 18. Japan's on agreement to purchase a future back to the in 2003 to switch one of the factory version batteries and then deploy around to the properly to Okinawa, Japan, and so it's a TPY's radar system and chemical architecture Korea. The U.S. has deployed its own factory battery and attack around a missile cruiser in Japan since 2006, and it's all the BMD, not just cooperative efforts with China. That's why I heard 15. Efforts the United States defend themselves to the opposition in East Asia, the Chinese government is long highly critical in East Asia was their opposition to automobile and U.S. will give a particular group of countries. And their Logan evidence concludes neg Chinese border account is unlikely. That's Logan 17. Chinese nuclear arsenal was strategy are concerned by limited fuel utility or nuclear weapons for overaging will be from face several harder technical constraint and pursuing the kind of nuclear breakout about which some commentators warn. And Chinese modernization efforts aren't for offensive use. It's only to secure second strike capabilities. Their author, Logan 17. China's nuclear forces are continuing leadership believe that it turns in unfavorable signs of the arsenal research and against the fundamental view, but actually the forces believe these small ones where Beijing is after warheads and missiles and peacetime China's nearly zero-point nuclear weapons modernization are very driven by a desire to make its vulnerability to new field nuclear weapons and hard constraints prevent Chinese modernization. Logan 17. China makes several hard technical barriers. China is currently designed to be heavy and powerful. Chinese records do not give up an ideal basis for development modernization. China makes production constraints from low and uranium would take time in the international community would take new testing. China lacks the supporting infrastructure markets to card that infrastructure and the app can't solve the MDR suggested rolled up space-based interceptors which are an existential threat to China. Rose 19. However, considering the voice of space interceptors and the implication that stability of Russia and China Trump strongly inclined towards development. Russia and China are starting to react as they see space-based interceptors as accidental and there's no nuclear accidents. That's fine.
Okay. Where's your process?
Yep.
Are you US bad?
Yes. Oh, why are they?
Yeah.
So we think that specifically undisclosed new apps are bad. For example, like we didn't know what the app was until you started reading it, which makes the debate way less educational and way less fair to negative because it gives you a strategic prep advantage.
So you decided to solve that by running 9 off.
Well, we think that if you can manipulate the prep advantage in a way that we don't get to know what the 1AC is until you're halfway through it, we should get conditional aptitudes to test
What's
that
the
back.
rank for like how many off you have to run based on that?
We think that like conditionality is good. You should defend the app. You like any reason why you think that we shouldn't get that is just a reason why you reading a new app is bad.
Okay. Towards counter plan, why doesn't this link to like every net benefit?
It has an internal net benefit. That's fine.
ICJ counter plan, was the ICJ done in like ever?
The ICJ just makes rulings like I don't know like the well if you're asking like what the efficiency
Like
of
what's
it
the
is.
importance of the ICJ?
Yeah, so the David and Morse evidence indicates that the ICJ is key to getting countries to work together on international issues. That card indicates that there are tons of global problems coming towards us in the near future, and that getting countries together now is a good thing.
Also, the solvency advocate card on the ICJ counterplan gives specific precedent of when the ICJ has ruled on U.S. arms sales prescriptions to say that we should not do those arms. We then canceled it and it boosted credibility. The solvency advocate literally says that the app has happened under ICJ before.
How does the counter plan solve the accident scenario?
Wait, which counterplan?
Advantage.
The advantage counterplan. So all of your evidence says the reason why new BMD is bad is because the U.S. is posturing it in a way that scares China. You're literally the first 3 cards of your app literally say that it's bad because the way that we shape it in the MDR. Your camera evidence says that the reason why China is scared right now, it's funny because I cut to the camp. The camera evidence specifically says that the only reason that China is scared of BMD is because the 2019 MDR said that we're going to use it for offensive purchases.
Also,
the counterplan passes a 2020 MDR that contradicts everything that was in the 2019
Okay,
one, so China is
So
not scared.
why would China believe this new one instead of like we've been
Because-
obviously like we lied before?
Because not only does it pass the new MDR, but it also sets constraints on those weapons so that we cannot use them. So
But-
even if
okay,
you say
but
that is true, the
those
counterplan sets their constraint on
no,
being
but
able
those
to
are
use
rhetorical constraints, right? Like you're just telling China that you won't. Like,
They're not just rhetorical. Like there are material concessions. For example, the counterplan does NFU. That is a material like shift in policy and brand strategy.
Sure, but like NFU isn't binding policy. It's
Like
like
joining the New START treaty is
Also,
probably something
it's-
material the U.S. is
It's
doing.
definitely a double bind as well. In a world where you say that MDR doesn't actually lead to anything, then the 1AC modernization does not happen because at the end of Crossix you said that it is in response to the MDR. You made that very clear.
Also, really awkward moment, your Santoro 19 evidence after you cut off the card. Later in the article, he literally says that China wants NFU more than anything. That's the second card we read on the counterplan. Like they have literally asked for NFU and nuclear dialogue more than anything else. Like they're begging. And the U.S. is just like, no.
6 minutes.
What is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said 544.
34.
34. Sorry. Wait, 534?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. going to be advantage, and I'm doing solvency on the advantage because that's how they did it. US bad, T substantial, P Pearson, ICJ counterplan, court counterplan, advantage counterplan, Japan disad, North Korea disad, missile disad.
Let's do that again.
Yeah.
Maybe a little slower.
Advantage.
Yeah.
US bad, T substantial, P Pearson, ICJ counterplan, courts counterplan, advantage counterplan, Japan disad, North Korea disad, missile disad. Everyone how to go? Anyone ready?
Good.
Is that a yes or not ready?
We're good.
Okay.
BMD expansion causes reactive China modernization, makes nuclear warfare actions, framing issue only big arsenals, enables nuclear stations, expansion causes extinction, accidents are the only scenario for WMD because match checks, intentional escalation, line by line. They say China's experienced for 20 years, but it's all a framing issue in terms of their evaluating rhetorical assurance aspect. They kind of like, we've been lying, and Trump has confirmed as much. However, it definitely doesn't thumb the advocates of punch capabilities on intentions. They say other BMD assets, the group, the next argument is one, we get sweeping attitudinal fiat allows for meaningful debates about grand strategy, postal procedural tweaks. Second, the plans of man and material unilateral concession will bring China to the bargaining table. Trump, that's a Haycock. Third, we grab fantastic integration key evidence that FMS the only way to facilitate the procurement and agency short sight. They say this first Loew and real highlighted, but this is about China facing technological constraints. It doesn't say that they can never modernize. It actually says that China wants to get past these constraints, but they will do because they want to preserve their second strike. They say the second Logan one, but this flows half. We agree that China is purely defensive. The impact isn't intentional strike; it's an accidental strike as a result of defensive posturing. They say no modernization, but this says hard constraints. But again, it doesn't say that China absolutely can't modernize. It says that China will get past these because they desperately want to modernize and maintain second strike. They say space, but we'll never develop them. Abrego in 15. Sorry. Star Wars can all those space there's up power for the advantage of the orders of single list points that the way we are example to use and launch capability space would be 10 times the gravity of the space back on conclude they got your time pushing either new aspect interpretation we get new aspect sure you shouldn't be allowed to be more than 6 off preferred disclosure kills innovation critical thinking any other interpretations arbitrary unfair at worst topic generics and round access cross second solves you how we can strike that verdict we meet there are no this goes after first round meeting and clash inevitable and strategy inevitable because of QEC add-ons tricky firms theory etc the plan is a substantial apart from the status quo they still get links for all the dishas T substantial we meet plan text and event in a vacuum and we meet 11% that's 4 on the trade 19 Japan has 3.5 ages 2.1.5 S&P 1.15 ages 140 total 62 and counter 7 million variant 16 ADC links to notification extending congressional lead defense UN access to 1 million issues in video for all submitted office prefer one predictably deferred legislative tattoos debatability overlimiting kills topic dynamics cost scale based release of picks and your functional violence and the literature based three is no ground left here read specific links of and a bunch of other off fours default reasonability is good enough on T Pearson first the comments indicate reduce can either refer to more sweeping measures or government policies to curtail life forces one is T Pearson 88 reduction in more sweeping measures as well as quality limits and other government policies weapons, and we mean we reduce overall signals that arms that compromise strike, Chinese second strike, and counter-interrupt. We reduce means to the mission size, and single immediate, considering the planning of reduce means to the mission size, prefer interrupt. One is debatability, they overlimit talking, don't allow any single country, so weapons system making debate impossible means we lose all picks and DIB functional limits and literature-based strike abuse, and there's no groundless theory, single links and a bunch of other off-cost by readability from the other one. ICJ counterplan 1, permutation do both, 2, permutation do the counterplans, there's no way to implement the plan through the same agent, 3, counter-consult counterplans are a voting issue, the act can't predict an infinite or consultable actions and plan modifications, time and strategy, they move every second one, he sees the voter for fairness, and the US would veto the CP that's Bachman 19 under the international law, US surveillance videos, but he's all weapons and the US recognizing the ICJ's authority, there's legality of the ICJ's International Criminal Courts Authority, the US specifically veto and this is a card for the permanent counterplan. Implement doesn't require set processes. US legal no date, USCS. Implement refers to action necessary to effectuate the final determination and their net benefits. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to have this one ruling of boost credibility and other rulings prove that nothing actually happens and there's no way the ICJ can prevent all at war. It's been an institution for years, nothing's happened, and stuff has happened. Course counterplan. Permanent counterplan cross-plan that implement doesn't require set process from the other flow is functionally the same thing and leads to every net benefit because it results in an end of BMD sales and advisors check Trump growing growth. This fever in 17 after 5 SC leads triple alarm. So what is military January legal orders in to go from the nuclear weather consulting advisors to alarms for dinner persuaded that I won't make the eventually not orders blending. Mark button. And the rest of the thing doesn't make sense because it across by from top level case framing that the only scenario for actual war is an accidental escalation, which as a result of the plan because mutually shared destruction checks any risk of it. Advantage counterplan. Permute both it shows the link to that benefit if they're right about perceptions of the counterplan mattering, then the link won't be triggered. And permute the counterplan and cancel modernization. The plans that prerequisite to effective agreement and de-escalation. Only unilateral concession works with 20C. Solomon and it links to that benefit. The counterplan still shifts U.S. foreign policy, which is perceived badly by our allies and spills over to trigger other links. And intentions are irrelevant if our adversaries only perceive capability. Solid 19.
MDR is excluded and no China started for 20 years missile defense aimed against the major power shining are concerned about using intention today foreign policy Allison intention today look to be shifted about Trump capabilities tomorrow the that are on the today and on the NFU component. NFU doesn't solve and encourages non-nuclear aggression, doesn't solve accidents or misconduct in 2017. And if you're not really going to use the legacy against China, use that as regardless of political interest when destabilizing refraining from you versus going to about deterrence, I think the correct activity, nuclear red lines, and Russian Federation of and just words, conventional thumbs and links words to pro, the saline aid. W actually encourage all of your invoking surgery, assistance to the nuclear watch based event, no matter what posture is stable. You see nuclear weapons as a way lost in conventional superiority on the new START component. Unilateral restraint is more effective. China says no to new START. That's recalling in 19. Trump wanted to China in the new START. Trump was also talking to the ambitious missile defense signals. Nuclear stuff maybe less effective than targeting the arsenal of Beijing. Let's start watching the virtue and vulnerability. The MDR Trump said the goal is to detect control any missile anywhere. Market anywhere. Japan decided first tons of numbers withdrawals on the TPP, suspension military exercises with South Korea and tariffs on Japan. And there's a framing issue. They're linked. Evidence is contextualized to all agents of short sight being sent. However, this is not the app. The plan only results in the reduction of Block 2A and Block 2B in related systems. Reason doesn't apply. And the link is empirically disproven by things like the controversial F-35 now and case outweighs problems like top level impact case framing fans. Vertical probe is the only scenario for extinction, and there's no perception link. Block 1B arms cells 0 and 19. Also, missiles also request by Japan includes Block 1B as SMPs, intercept short and intermediate long range abilities and missiles. Block 1 gave improving capabilities. Japan is 16 inches short, capable of defending these shapes shot on the target with Block 1B, and Japan conventional missile programs walls within 19. Whether you not conventional strike capabilities in the invaded Japan is not even using that for support legislation not likely to advance there is not evidence of Japanese public wants. It's government to provide this action. There are not enough resources budgeted to allow conventional strike. No code is set. Interceptors are ineffective. And here's free. Let's order 18. Let's shoot the SMP Block 2A part of an agent of the missiles that are instability to make it mark the second unscheduled tests in the past year. The package of the missile to the failed test, the targeting control radars grid have caused that failed test and SMP Block 2A that's what's failed after sailing and taking triggered the self-destruct mechanism. And they're saying that Block 2A missile key also says other measures prevent a no-go strike, which means doing the plan which is bolster those other regional terms like boost phase as per our dynamics, and they will never be attacked with freeze and posturing and threatening war for decades and nothing has happened, which means they'll never strike. And even if the grid scenario destroys most of the population, it won't cause extinction because humans will adapt like they have for centuries, which means case massive go ways. And the grid scenario dooms their better, non-unique, and zero impact. Let's go to 19. The problem with fear over EMW says that generating juices so hard a country dealing with other fighting a war. It doesn't pass a logic to getting AMP big enough is expected. Not with the effort that created the blast affected will be less close to the blast will need to be the ground fighting that USFIFA will take a test. Which one is done? The blast would only come from a warhead and ICBM. Market ICBM. Can you find me like an implement the card on like ICJ and or like both? Missile disad. First, cost by top level impact ring case vertical probe is the only scenario for escalation and case turns to disad trying to engage in a counterbalancing arms race to China over missile deployments will only cause them to modernize and cause an all-out nuclear war through accidents, which is the entire scenario they have. And accepting mutual vulnerability solves the DA because it means that China will understand that our weapon system aren't a threat to them and they won't want to strike us. That's the coup evidence. And the link evidence is contextualized to overall Japan aegis of short sights, which the plan is reduced, and it means that the missiles can be used within aegis of sights post-plan because we only get rid of Block 2A and Block 2B systems, and they conceded that integration unlocks all those things. And future boost phases will effectively counter China without provoking nuclear arms race, which solves enemies to this. That's already done evidence. And
This is on the course.
go to course. Wait, I'm gonna. Yeah, lack of expertise in polarization make congressional text too. I'm gonna read that one. Just blow this like wherever. Okay. BMD presence caused U.S. Russia arms race in 2017. Average weapons are capable of shoot down missiles, while triggering new arms race, increased ambition for missile defense, encourage unstable weapons, often fueling misunderstanding and different policy, people survive and perception that missile defense may not be a subject arms control and nuclear war. This will also in 18. Thus, the dynamic relative to the program Russia is rebuilding the Soviet Union strategic nuclear arsenal. The U.S. is in a modernization program. All these ongoing conversations fully engaged with dynamic and security Russia and America reach the locked into a cycle of arms race instability results in reactions by leading both vulnerable accident or miscalculation. Wait, let me look at the other aspects. Oh yeah, I guess just like cross-apply this to every impact scenario. There's just like top-level impact framing that the only scenario for actual nuclear war that will cause extinction is an intentional first strike. We're arguing that the mutually assured destruction checks that because that was the 1AC evidence that they did not contest, which means that the only scenario for an actual nuclear war going fully like nuclear and killing everybody is accidental escalation, which leads to an exchange between two large nuclear postures, which cause extinction. Plus we got this add-on that I just read, which like is also a nuclear war cause extinction. I'm gonna email this to them right now. Alright, I sent it. It's in the body.
You said you did.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah, I'm good.
First question, what's no code DA?
The no code AMB is up.
What is that?
It's like you say Japan BMD is vital to intercept North Korean peace.
When did we say that?
That's fine. It's cool.
Okay.
Cool.
The add-on you read in the 2AC just now, the you say BMD presence causes U.S.-Russia arms racing. So it's from 2017 before Aegis even started being built, or before we even signed the agreement. What is it about?
Okay, it's
Again,
about
it can't be about.
it's about Russian perceptions of the United States being able to shoot down their missiles.
Okay.
And that is what Block 2A missiles literally do. Like they're
Yeah. So
what they're
Russia's
designed to
scared
do.
of Block 2A missiles.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess we
And like in
installed
general-
Aegis ashore in Romania, and we're going to install it in Poland with Block 2 missiles. How does that not thump or make that
Because
impact?
we argue that it's the same thing with the China scenario, where it's an argument of encirclement. Russia will only.
Actually encirclement. So how would BMD in Japan encircle Russia?
Because it's not like I said it's the same idea of encirclement. It's them having perceptions that they're compromised on both sides of like the territory.
So why wouldn't Russia be more scared of BMD that has the same capabilities and is closer?
Because they know that they can still get around the overall U.S. military shield if they just like.
Then why
want
don't they know that about the BMD in Japan?
Because what do you mean?
You just said they know they can get around the one in Europe, so why can't they get around the
They
one
know
in
they can get around
Japan?
the one in Europe because they're not one in Japan. So we reduce like arms sales in order to stop them from arms racing. Because they're
No.
only like right now they're constrained, right? That's why they're arms racing to get past those.
That's fine.
When we take
Reasons
it
to
away,
reject the
they'll
team.
open that way. And we'll be it.
That's fine. Reasons to reject the team.
Consult counterplans.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you say on the Japan DA that like our card is about old capabilities. So it says that like Japan uniquely cares about the 2 Aegis ashore systems being deployed in 2020, and then it goes on to talk about the capabilities they have. I guess what is the bright line for our evidence needing to be specific now?
Because we're arguing that it's not in the context of like Block 2A missiles.
So the card says
Because-
that Japan cares about the 2 Aegis ashore sites
Right.
that have Block 2A missiles.
that have them, but the rest of the Aegis ashore sites will literally still be in Japan and will still be like there.
So the card says that Japan relies on the deterrence factors provided by the 2 Aegis ashore sites being delivered. I guess, what do we need the card to say if that's not enough?
No, because your card says the overall Aegis ashore sites, which will still be in Japan post-plan. They will just not have the overall Block 2A and Block 2B missiles.
So you
and-
have
and-
continually said that Block 2A missiles matter so much,
Yep.
so then why would Japan not care about the plan?
That's what I was gonna say. Like it's about. First of all, we do think that Block 2A like makes Japan reassured. However, it's not the only thing. We argue that the entire overall Aegis ashore sites are key, and the other boost phase like missiles, like the future boost phase missiles, will be able to provide Japan reassurance for deterring future threats without inflaming like a war with China. Which is the whole
Nuap's
point
bad. I guess, how does rating 6 off solve, but
because it's less.
9 doesn't?
It's less off.
It's
and so
less
we have to
off
answer
base?
less.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
352. Starting now.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we